Let's go to state politics in Queensland now and catch up with One Nation federal leader and founder Pauline Hanson. Senator Pauline Hanson, thanks for joining us, Pauline. Argy-bargy in the state election campaign, as usual, about your mob being the unclean. Nobody should preference them. But one Labor MP seems to have broken ranks. He's been telling people, he's the member for Keppel, Brittany Lauger. She's been telling people that they ought to put LMP, put you guys ahead of the LMP.
Well, that's actually shocked me because we've put out a really strong campaign against Brittany Lauger. She's been absolutely useless. I'm sorry to Chris, she hasn't done a job up there, and she's been under, speculation and for years now over certain issues that she's been involved in, and whether it's right or wrong, I don't know. But we've got a very strong candidate up there in Wade Rothery, and she's very concerned about losing her seat, and so she should be. So the Libs flow preferences to us, there's a good chance she could lose that seat to One Nation.
But of course the Labor Party keep trying to attack the LNP for allowing your preferences to flow to them and vice versa. But there's another Labor candidate, Mike Brunker in Burdekin. Apparently he's also saying put the LNP last. So there's at least do you feel better? There's at least a couple of Labor candidates and MPs who don't seem to hate you as much as they're supposed to.
Chris, over the years there was a concerted effort by all the major political parties to actually get rid of One Nation, put us last on the how to vote cards, and going back to the Democrats, the Greens, the Labor, the Nationals, and the Liberal Party as well. Since we've been back on the floor of Parliament, and you've seen it in New South Wales with Mark Latham, the great work that he's doing. We've got Western Australian members of Parliament, the Upper House, working with the Labor government, and we've actually worked quite well with the Liberal government in the federal parliament, plus also Labor. I've worked with them and they've worked with me on my policies. It's about doing what's right for the people, and that's what people want. It's representation. Forget about your infighting. It's not about your jobs. It's about working for the people, and that's what I'm hoping to give back to the people in Queensland as true representation. And if they can see that working with us, because both sides are not listening to what the concerns are in Queensland.
Well, when you talk about those concerns, it is a little fascinating because you've got closed borders, Anastasia Palaszczuk shutting off for all sorts of tourism dollars looking to come into the state from New South Wales, from New Zealand and other places as well. You've got massive debt there and budgetary problems. You want to get employment going in the state. Yet Anastasia Palaszczuk has chosen an election campaign to throw up the issue of euthanasia. Where is One Nation on that?
It's a conscience vote from our members of parliament. I personally agree with it, because even if you do bring in the legislation for the euthanasia, it is still your choice whether you want to have you be euthanised or not. But I believe it's everyone's right to have that decision. But it will be a conscience vote. It's up to the members that are elected to parliament how they choose to vote on that.
Sure. So why does it come up in an election campaign? Where is it? Yeah. Why is it pushed during an election campaign? I mean, Anastasia Palaszczuk has been Premier for many years now. She could have raised it at any time.
Because what else is she going to raise? The most important issue in Queensland is about the Native Vegetation Management Act, the REIT 2050 Act. Also, you're looking at the economy, the debt. She hasn't brought the budget down. She doesn't want to be questioned on these issues. So you throw out a red herring to get people talking about something else rather than what is really important. Why put on 57,000 public servants? Why pay $260 million in a pay rise just over the last few weeks to public servants? We've got rising costs in this state, and unless she actually addresses and gets industries and manufacturing to reduce the payroll tax, which I will be pushing for with my members of parliament, to actually raise the threshold for payroll tax to get more industries and manufacturing, get the rural and regional areas moving. They need to be, incentivised and get people out there. You need services, you need healthcare, you need doctors. This is a really important issue because these centres are dying, and we can't allow rural and regional Queensland to die.
Now, speaking of priorities and budgetary problems, the good taxpayers of Queensland, thanks to Anastasia Palaszczuk, have pumped about $15 million into the AFL to get the grand final up there on the weekend. It'll be a cracking game. You're one of the most prominent national figures based in Queensland. Have you been invited to the grand final, and will you be going?
Chris, I have had no invitation, and I tell you what, even if I was, I wouldn't be going. So I have no intentions going $15 million is a waste of money. You know, what I could do with $2 million of that is to get the anti-bullying into 10 of our schools throughout Queensland, which will make a big difference to school kids. You know, no self-harm, no suicides. It will actually give them some meaning to their life without walking around getting bullied by people. Only $2 million for 10 schools. Imagine what we can do with that $15 million throughout the whole state. I think it's a waste of money. It's taxpayers' dollars, and more important issues I'd like to put that money towards. Yeah,
I agree that taxpayers' money shouldn't have gone into it, but it's going to be a great game. You're going to miss a great event, and I can't wait for that grand final. Thanks for
enjoy, Chris.
Thanks for joining us, Pauline. Pauline Hanson, the founder and leader of One Nation, Senator Pauline Hanson. She doesn't want to go to the footy. Well, I'll be watching. I think I'm going to be in Florida. It's going to be about 4 o'clock in the morning, I think.